Hi, everyone. My name is Todd Cochran. I'm the founder of Blueberry Podcasting, and we are proud to be a sponsor of the Live Podcast Insider and Sonia's work. But more importantly, if you're considering to become a podcaster, we want you to come over to blueberry.com. And I'm going to give you a 3-month free trial for doing so, for trying our podcast services out. All you have to use the promo code FOUNDER on checkout, FOUNDER, and you'll get 3 months free with this. And I tell you, I hope you enjoyed the event. Again, we're a proud sponsor of this. Again, my name is Todd Cochran from Blueberry Podcasting. It's blueberry.com, Blueberry without the E's. Have a great conference. Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Todd Cochran. I'm celebrating my 19th year in podcasting. I'm also the founder of Blueberry Podcasting. Blueberry was built by a team of content creators. We know podcasting. We use our tools every day, and we want to invite you to come over and become a podcaster. You get a free trial of our service, and you get in there and test and play around. Build your brand. Don't build some other third-party host brand where you have to build on their website. We give you a free WordPress site with every account. Come on over and try out Blueberry Podcasting and our hosting services. I know that you're going to enjoy it. We've got a top-notch support team that'll take care of you run into trouble. The only team that you can actually call and have a friend answer questions for you. Blueberry.com, BLUBRRY.com.
Hi. Good morning from Bali, Indonesia. So today you see me more fresh, even though without sleep at all night, and then even at 3 a.m. I'm contacting the StreamYard team for the technical issues that I still cannot connect to Facebook group. So maybe I'm going to share from my personal profile or the page to our Facebook group. But again, welcome to Live Podcast Summit this month. And yesterday we had our distinguished guest and expert speaker, of course, Todd Cochrane, and he is the CEO of Blueberry and also Raw Voice, right? And yeah, I'm blessed with his support and also Blueberry support to make this event happen. And then yeah, there was a bit technical difficulty yesterday, and we are using StreamYard right now. But today we have another distinguished guest speaker, and you know him already. And he was the first cover boy, the how do you call it? The initial for Live Podcast Insider, of course, and I'm very honored to have him here again today to share with us about media diversification strategies for success because there are so many challenges today. Then I feel that we need to keep up and then also to update our information about social media and the strategies that we can apply. Of course, we are going to invite Rob Greenlee on the screen. Hi, Rob. How are you
Hello, it's great to be
today?
here, Sonia. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here again. Always thank you for your support. And now you are a columnist on Live Podcast Insider. Oh my God. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
the support. That is really great. And I cannot wait to see you on the magazine this week, right? And
Yeah, I
yeah,
got another
you read
article,
more
right?
than 10 pages. Oh, very exclusive sharing from you about social media, about podcast, about live podcast, and the journey how to be successful in live streaming and podcasting. So, how are you today? And thank you so much for catching the time after being in New York. I don't know if there is for business or for honeymoon.
No, it was definitely for business being down in New York. Actually, it was the National Association of Broadcasters conference that started
Mm-mm,
today at
mm-mm.
the
Oh yeah.
Javits Center, which is a big
Mm,
conference facility on the Hudson River in Manhattan. So it was a
mm.
lot of stuff going on, and had some meetings down there. So it's I rushed home. It takes a couple of hours to get back from New
Thank
York,
you, thank
so I
you.
just
That's
swooped in
why I'm very happy. Yeah, made
and
it
jumped on.
online like this, and I hope that you don't mind that you have late dinner, just like thought yesterday.
I'm I'm very flexible, and I'm used to working in all sorts of different time zones all around the
Mhm,
world. So
mhm,
it's really
mhm,
normal for me to do things at odd hours. I've done shows kind of like what you do to some degree at like 2 or 3 in the morning
mhm.
or something like that that are in a different time
I
zone.
know.
So
No sleep these
yeah,
2 days, crazy. Because there are
yeah,
so many things to get done also for the magazine and also for our next projects with the book, with the not only the book, the what is it, the awards, live podcast awards, and
right.
Bali Summit.
Yeah,
Oh
you're
my
taking
God,
on a lot.
I'm very excited, but you know me.
Right,
Yeah, and
right.
when my brain is active at 1 a.m., then I cannot go to sleep, so no sleep at all still. Would you like to
Right.
share a little bit what you had today on the conference? So maybe if you don't mind sharing it, just a little bit
Yeah, it
is
was
okay
really just a couple
for
of
our session
right.
today.
Yeah, it was just a meeting, really, one main meeting with a a new technology company that's building
Mm-hmm.
some technology for audio, kind of advanced audio recording capability. It's called In Sounds. It's out of
In sound.
the Middle East is where they're based, but
Mm-hmm.
they built a very compelling kind of audio
Mm-hmm.
recording and audio processing platform which is a little
Mm-hmm.
bit really in line with where I've kind of taken my career, is really working
Mm-hmm.
towards trying to support and promote kind of the leading edge or the cutting edge of the audio or video recording platforms, right? To get on that side of the business. I spent 10 years working in the
Mm-hmm.
hosting and distribution side
Wow. Yes,
of
that's true.
and video creation, but it's also, it's fun to play in the content side too, which is what I really have a passion for that. That's how I got involved in podcasting, and whatever, was doing my own nationally syndicated radio show I did for 7 years. So really, that's really my foundation. Uh,
Wow.
Look at
Is it almost the same year we thought for 19 years in
yeah, I
podcasting
started actually about
or more
two
or even more?
yeah, I started about 2 weeks before Todd did. So it was very close. So I
You
started in
are only two
September.
weeks older.
Right, right. So I
So only
started
2 weeks older.
in mid September, and he started in the kind of early
Mm-hmm.
part of October. So, right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
And
I
then
mean, yeah, across that timeline, it really doesn't matter 2 weeks. We both about started at the same time.
yes, so it's like a twin. But then Rob, what has been changing from the era into today's era? And then when I see your debate with thought about YouTube, blah blah blah. So I think it has been changed a lot, even though thought said the content or the formula is actually the same, right? The
Yeah.
marketing formula, also how we distribute our podcast, how to create the content are almost the same in my opinion. But what has been changed since
Yeah, I
that
think the
era?
big thing for me as I think about it is just all of the tools that are available for content
Mhm.
creators now to use to help them create
Mhm.
content that are lower cost and more powerful at the same time. I mean, in the early days when I started, I had to use kind of music equipment in order to do podcasts. Software that was designed for a music creator and microphones that were designed for singers, right? Because they didn't really have a focus on podcasting back then at the scale that
Mhm.
podcasting has. So I think, and that's what really gravitated me towards the more the creation side of this is just the advancements of the tools like this.
Mhm.
You know, I use a Rodecaster Pro, the
Mhm.
original version, but this thing is so powerful. I mean, if I had this back in 2004 or 2005, it would have been so much easier for
Mhm.
me to do the show that I did. So I say that's the big thing is that content creators now have very powerful tools. And especially now when you start adding in AI technology to this,
Mm-hmm.
it's adding a whole nother layer that we have to kind of sift through and understand and really try and visualize how this can help us and not cause more work. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the struggle in the AI stuff right now when it comes to being a content creator is that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
creators play around with these different tools that are available, and some work good, some don't work so good. We're still not 100% clear on where the benefit is of these things and where it brings enough value to either invest our money in them or to invest our time in them. And that's the other thing that I've been playing around with a lot and trying to learn as well as we move into this next phase of content creation, which is the AI revolution. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to change a lot of stuff. But we're still kind of, I mean, Todd says this a little bit too. We're still a little bit in the early stages of this because we still don't really
That's true.
know where the
What
value is of
AI,
this.
yeah.
Right.
And it looks like, the fungi, the mushroom on the rainy season. So there are so many new software, so many new apps. And how do you keep up with it? I asked the same question yesterday to Todd because I know that he's
Yeah.
a very, very busy CEO, but also very punctual in his schedule. And then still he has to update all of the information with all of the
Yeah.
technology. I know that he is a not like you, he is a genius, but then how do you manage your energy and time for it? Even for me, I'm not that famous like you, but I already cannot sleep at night like this. So
Yeah,
would
you
you
just
like
have
to
to pace
share?
yourself. It's like,
Mm,
it's really a marathon run.
mm,
Even from the role that I have in the medium today, it's
mm,
really got to pace yourself. You have to be as focused as you can on
mm,
narrowing down things that you spend time with and trying to sift through them based on what other people say and what other people recommend. And
mm,
that's really how I do it. And I just trust my instincts too. Like when I see something new that intrigues me and I can kind of connect the dots on this. And I think that's the
mm,
other piece of this is it what like a couple of the technology platforms that I'm working with right now
mm,
help solve a problem that content creators have. And
mm,
I understand that because I am one and I have been one for a long time. And I've worked with thousands of content creators, podcasters, and I understand their pain. I understand their struggle. And a little bit that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today is that I want to throw myself into that and feel that pain myself. The work that it takes to be able to do a video show as well as an audio podcast and to make both of them work. I'm a I'm a test case for that. I don't think that there's a huge amount of examples of people successfully doing this, though I think that
a
there's some
living
out
proof.
there, right? There's some out there that are
Mm,
doing this convergence strategy, which is what I'm working with StreamYard on, is helping
yeah.
them strategize about how they can be more useful and more appealing to audio and video podcasters. And then adding this layer on, like what you're doing here, is live, which is a whole nother dimension. And a lot of people are scared
Mm,
of doing live because it is more complicated. There's a little more pressure there. You have to really be
yeah.
spontaneous and you have to
Just
think
like
on
what
your
I had
feet.
yesterday when the
Right.
camera didn't work, like, and
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So
uh,
you're trying to
and
walk a fine line of trying to balance the technology with the content. And that takes multitasking, and I learned a lot from doing radio to multitask because I had to run the board at the radio station and I had to take the calls and stuff because it was kind of a call-in talk show. So it was this same kind of skills, right? So I had a little bit of an advantage coming into this, but I've always loved live, and this is the show that Todd and I do every week is, and we've been doing it for
Mhm.
like 10 or 12 years. And it's like, Todd loves live. I love doing things live. It's just more authentic, it's more real, and there's more opportunity to connect with other people and audiences But like Rick says, live is complicated. It is complicated. I 100% agree, and not everybody's up for the challenge of it. But
But it
but I
makes us
do think
happy, Rick. No matter what the challenges we
right.
have. Yeah. If I can tell you, the first time I did the live streaming with Ross Brand at that time. Oh, okay. By the way, congratulations on your new role as like evangelist for StreamYard, and then also you have
Yeah.
you listen to me to have Ross Brand on the beginning on your premiere show, and it was really fun. And yeah, it is more complicated. What I mean is like to not be afraid with the technology. Everyone is learning by doing, I guess, even though no matter how perfect your equipment is, like what you have, like Todd has, and still sometimes there is a mistake that we make, right? And sometimes
Right.
we have technical issue that we cannot avoid. And
Yeah.
but that's life, they said. That is the the excuses to make it right. Like that's
Yeah.
life. But yeah, I'm happy with live streaming, even though it was very scary for me the first time. You know that I've been afraid of the camera since I was a child, and then the first time I interview Ross, the camera fell. So after that, people didn't know. I cried after that, but Ross said it is okay. People didn't notice, but it was really, really an embarrassing moment for me. You know, interviewing Ross at that time. So.
Yeah. Well, and like I did my first episode of the podcast tips with Rob
Mm,
Greenlee show for StreamYard last Thursday, and I learned
yes.
something from that because I tried something new. I was playing like a background music with the show, and I've been
Woo!
wrestling with that
I would
concept.
like to
No, I
squeeze
know.
both of you.
Yeah, and that's why I mean that's why I want to raise it here is because it's
Mm,
an interesting
mm,
example of trying new things, and if people don't like it, people will
mhm,
let you know. Hopefully, they'll let you know and not just stop listening. So I had a few
mm.
people make a comment that that the background music was distracting. Okay, I I take that. I tried something
It
different. I
depends.
was
It
trying to make the
depends.
show,
Mm,
a little bit more like a video game experience, right? Just
mhm.
from the standpoint of trying to, appeal to maybe a
Mario
different audience.
Brothers game, something
Right.
like that. It is fun
But
actually, but maybe it was too loud only. And then
yeah,
my
it just
nightmare
it just
about
needed to be
sound.
faded down. Right.
Yeah, yeah. About the sound on the live streaming like this, there are so many professional content creators, influencers who have nice music. But when I use it, I was flagged for the copyright, even though it was originally from StreamYard and Wave at that time was the sponsor. So now I'm scared to use the music, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
trauma about it because I couldn't change it. You know, when we have the flag on the Facebook, then we cannot change it, right? Just delete it or edit it. We cannot edit it like that because we don't know who is the person or the person who claim it. It's just like this, but we don't know how to contact them. Even though we tag them, it didn't work. So because of it also, Rob, that I don't want to use the music, and then maybe this is more peaceful because I'm an introvert. So.
Well, I I agree with you. There's two ways of looking
Mhm,
at this, and this is something that I've wrestled with for many years in the medium,
mhm,
is how much
mhm,
music to use. I had a radio show that had a lot of music in it because
mhm,
back in those days uh, I could play commercial music on my radio show. And
mhm.
so some of that back in the early days kind of did leak out into my podcast. So, you know,
Oh,
e- back in the
yes.
early days of this, most of my listeners were on the radio side or they were streaming, right?
Mhm.
And it wasn't as a podcast. That was back in the time that maybe 10% of my audience was downloading the episode via the MP3 file. So it was a very small part of my distribution. And then over a period of time, that obviously grew, but now we've kind of moved into an era now where you do have to be concerned about the music that you play in your show because you're
Mhm.
correct. YouTube will put a copyright block on it, or they'll say it's okay if you have it in your show, but the content creator is going to be able to monetize it, but you can't, right? So those are the
That's true.
two things that can happen to you. It can either be a takedown notice or a fine, but more than likely it's just going to be monetized by the copyright holder. So you're going to be able to keep it up there. It's just that you're not going to be able to make any money on it. So if
Yeah,
you're,
but I
if
agree
you're
with
on the
you about
monetization,
the music and sound on the radio. It was more fun even when I was as
right?
a guest speaker on the radio. It was fun.
Oh yeah, I had
I
fun.
remember that I have like my own nationality song. I mean my motivational song that has to be turned when I become a guest speaker on the radio, and radio made me more secure, because I don't need to be in front of the camera. It's only the sound, so I can teach people, I can teach the host, I can make, you know, it's
Yeah.
easier for me as an introvert also. And then, Rob, uh, what do you feel now because you don't work with the corporate as the official? I mean, like, you know, I feel that you are more free in criticize or give the feedback or your own opinion, and then you have the content creators or the influencers more freely than before because you brought the name of the brands before, right? Of course, you are in StreamYard now. You bring the StreamYard brand, but then it
Hmm.
seems that I see you that you are, yeah, more free in giving your opinion about any media or any software, and also I don't know. What do you feel
And I
about it
think
then? Is
that's
that
probably a
true, or that is
perception.
my feeling also
Right. I mean, it's
from me?
definitely a perception. I would
Mhm.
say that it may not be as real as you might think. I mean, I have always really voiced my opinions
Mhm.
publicly. The thing that I have, to be quite transparent here, is that there are things that I
Mhm.
couldn't disclose because I was working for a company that had proprietary information, or I had to sign an
Yes, that's
NDA with like a Google or somebody or an Apple, and I couldn't talk about stuff that maybe I was working with them on. So a lot of those things were just restrictions on what I could talk about because of the business relationships that I had. Um,
yes.
but you're right. I mean, I think not being a corporate officer or like a vice president or a leader
Mhm.
at one of these companies does
Yes.
put me in a situation where I can give a little bit more kind of opinion on things that
Honest
cannot
opinion, you mean?
right that can't be construed as disclosure
Mhm.
of proprietary information, right? So
Mhm.
so in a, so if I do hear things now, I'm a little bit like a journalist now to some degree, because if I
Mhm.
hear things about, but they aren't through like secure channels or whatever, or
Mhm.
I haven't signed an NDA, I'm I'm free to talk about things, but I still have to talk about things in a respectful way that doesn't
Mhm.
cause people to feel like I'm slandering them, or I'm trying to undermine their business, or I'm trying to. And this is kind of a line that Todd and I have had to walk on the New Media Show for many years: is how
Yeah.
bad do we beat up a particular company for a
Mhm.
bad decision, like a Spotify or a YouTube or a Google
Yeah.
or those kind of folks, because we have been tough on companies in the past. And I think that, depending on the attitudes of the company, that can either be taken respectfully, where they take it and improve, or they can take it as an offense and somehow retaliate against us because we had a differing opinion to what they were doing. So, those are the choices that we have to make, and we gamble by taking a position. And I
Mhm.
think increasingly these days, as content creators, we're seeing more and more people take you know, divisive positions on things, and they're
Yeah.
being judged for it. So, right.
And then about the money,
The money.
which one is
It's always about the
bigger?
money. Right.
Which one is bigger? Being an independent creator like this, or join with the big brand like before?
Well, my perfect model really is to be a content
Mhm.
creator that has some relationships with some brands that offer like a consulting agreement, or a relationship that has some monetary
Yes.
connections to it, but doesn't bind me down in the things that I can talk about. But it also creates this other relationship with those brands that I'm working with. probably don't tell me as much either. so so if
Yeah,
that's the
because you
trade-off
have
is
to give your own proposal. I
right.
want
It's
this
like,
much to Premier or the other brands, right? Totally different
yeah,
when you are the leader of the company.
right. So they're not going to tell me they're really top secret stuff because they might think that there's a risk that I'll say something about it. And I guess, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not signed to a binding NDA contract, that it could happen. But
Mm-mm.
I also am very respectful of companies' business interests, and I always have been. I used to work at a big company called Microsoft, and I was there for 7 years. And if there ever was a
Yes.
company that was concerned about secrets, it was a company like Microsoft. So I'm very much accustomed to that culture of being cautious of what you share. And I've done other consulting agreements too, where I have to sign things that say I won't talk about
Mm-hmm.
proprietary business information from other
The
companies.
confidential. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's it's a little bit of an ethics thing to some degree, is what I grew up in an era where ethics actually meant something. I'm not sure it does too much anymore.
Mm-hmm. And then, and yesterday, you support us when Todd was here also about
Yeah.
sponsorship, right? And then, this time, I didn't get another sponsorship, but Blueberry as our ultimate sponsor, and I'm very grateful for it also because what you
Yeah.
said that we really have to what is it to choose our sponsors also, even though there are some offers, and then I asked some people and they cannot make it, but then the other one they can make it, but I don't feel comfortable, with the personal business or something like that, or their brands quality that, yeah, it can I can say danger my image as a woman also, not as a content creator, because they want
Yeah.
the sexy thing, blah blah blah. There are some kind of people who put into the wrong, I don't know, image or perspective when you support an influencer or someone, right? So yeah, I agree with your opinion yesterday. Only the thing is, the risk is like what I have today. Only Blueberry will sponsor me this time. But then I feel relief because I don't need to accept the personal sponsorship that bring me the best image, and or also the brands that are not, in my opinion, not reliable enough. What do you think about it, Rob?
Yeah, I think you know I do think that having Blueberry sponsor what you're doing is a terrific thing. I mean, you have to start somewhere and you have
Yeah,
to build on that. And
Blueberry is really great
right,
to
and
support me. But also,
Blueberry
personally,
is
he
a
supports me a lot, like you.
right. You know,
Mm-mm,
Todd and Blueberry is a terrific platform, and they've
mm-mm,
got a very valid product that's been proven in the market for many, many years. And I'm a big fan of Blueberry myself. I've worked with a bunch of his competitors, which he is a little
mm.
bit stung about over the years, quite honestly. So
Yeah,
so
I
I've
know
been
that.
I've been doing his
Uh,
show
uh,
with him for like 12 years, but I've also been
yeah.
through like Spreaker, Libsyn, Podbean, and those
Mm-mm,
are all his
mm-mm,
primary competitors. So it's been a
mm-mm,
little bit
mm-mm,
of a bumpy ride over the years with Todd, but that's just because he's a competitor and I'm a competitor too. So I played, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I played
mm-mm,
competitive basketball for 13 years. So I played in college and some
mm-mm,
semi-pro. So I am a a competitor at heart, but I also am a competitor that has ethics too and cares about one's opponent, and that's a thing that is sometimes a little lacking in the business world these days,
mm-mm,
where you can respect your competitor and you can not trash them, right? You can treat them with respect
mm-hmm,
and not have to give them a hard time. And that's the line that I try and walk in all my business relationships, because what it does is it maintains it's like this concept of not burning bridges, right? I don't want to burn any
mm-hmm,
bridges in any relationship with anybody in the
mm-hmm,
industry, whether it be the podcasting, content
Different
creation
with me.
community.
When someone is annoying, just I block it. Where if you are a troublemaker, why should I deal with you? Something like that. We are
But
totally
it's
different,
walking
isn't
that
it?
line. It's really
Uh,
walking that line, because you still want to be known as somebody that has an opinion about things, and you want to
mm,
know people to know that you have thoughts about this and that you're
mm,
thinking about things, and that you're trying to help by sharing your thoughts. Now, granted, not all that stuff is going to align with what other people think, but if you treat with people with respect and you treat people kindly,
mhm.
that will come back to you in the long term. And I've always tried to support other people that are creating content or building platforms in the best way that I can at every opportunity, without causing a conflict with the existing kind of business relationships or business
Agree,
relationship that I
agree.
have, or my job, or those kind of things. So I have to walk those lines, right?
Yeah, agree. As long as they respect us, if they we lose respect to them, then it doesn't work anymore. But then
Yeah.
yeah, talking about the basketball, I saw your picture at the time you showed me, right? You were very handsome as a basketball player on your outfit, but how, what changed your mind to be like a public figure like this? You know what I mean? Why didn't you become a basketball coach or basketball promoter or something like that? How could
Yeah,
you
that
be
wasn't a
very
different
different today?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and I think I learned a lot from it. But it wasn't
Mhm,
something that I wanted to continue with my professional career. So it was just one of those things that, it taught me how to work with a team, and become successful. And which in sports means that you're winning games, right?
mhm.
So that is a little bit different than winning in business. Um,
Yeah, you have
but
to
it's
kill on the sport.
right, right. It's this win-lose relationship
Mhm,
that happens in sports that isn't entirely compatible with business, but it can have an element to it, right? Because
mhm,
usually, even in business, somebody wins and somebody doesn't, right? So
mhm,
there is some corollary there. Oh, I
mhm.
see Tim is asking what kind of lights
Yeah,
do I use for
about
my live streaming
the live
setup?
stream setup.
Yeah,
Yeah, yesterday was purple, so
yeah,
not only LED light, so must be special, right?
yeah. So I have three little lights that panel lights that I got from Amazon, and they're basically, I think they're about like 5 inches by
Mhm.
8 inches panels, right? So I can position them.
On the
They're
front, right? On your table, near with
w-
your table that
yeah.
you
So I have a
show us on your
tree.
profile.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I have a pole that's behind
Mm-mm,
my desk that actually holds three monitors and a
mm-mm,
teleprompter. Plus, on top of this tree that has arms on it that hold my monitors at a at two levels, they're attached to the very top and they're pointed down at me at different directions. So I have one light that's pointed at the wall behind me, and then I have another one that's pointed at me, like shining down at me, like right here. And
mm-hmm.
then I have one in the middle that kind of shines a little bit down, but also shines against the wall. So I'm trying to create this kind of shadow effect, but not too bright. But it's like this color
Yeah,
depth.
cannot be seen on your Facebook banner, only your desk, so you cannot see the light there.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see I've published some pictures of my setup here, but these panel lights didn't cost that
Mm-hmm,
much. I think I paid like $40 or $50 for them or something like that. Um,
mm-hmm.
but I can adjust the color frequency of the
The
lights.
color.
Yeah, so I can adjust them to be
Please
kind of
change
like
it into right now. Please change it into right now.
yeah, I can adjust them to be like an amber color.
Remember?
It's got a little bit of a reddish tone to it.
Mm-mm,
But then
mm-mm,
there's also other lights that are like more bright white. So I can
mm-mm,
adjust that temperature of the light to be more favorable to my complexion.
mm-hmm.
So it
You mean
brings
to
out
make you more handsome?
or the natural skin tone that I
Mm,
have. I mean, a lot of lights, if you don't adjust them properly, or you don't even have the ability to adjust their temperature, which is their colors, it can make you a little bit washed out. So I think that's a big thing.
yeah, thank you, Tim, for the
Yeah,
question.
I don't believe in heavy lighting. Yeah, even though if you talk to Todd, he's got big panel lights in his
I
studio.
know a lot of
Much,
minion on his table
right.
also, a lot of, toys on his table also. And yeah, it
Yep.
is fun actually. You have the
Yeah, and it's
StreamYard
fun to
below
actually
there.
talk about these topics because it's kind of fun.
Mm,
I went through this process myself of watching a lot of YouTube videos and getting recommendations from others about, what is an inexpensive but effective setup. And there's all sorts of different perspectives on this. I mean, there's those that will tell you to get a big, like a round kind of umbrella light or something like that, and put it off to one side of you,
mm.
and create this shadow effect from one side of your
Yeah, like the
face.
studio photo, yes.
Right,
But it
right.
looks like more like on the TV setting that I have been, when I was on TV because the light should be very very bright and but it is very very hot on TV always. Is it the same with the home studio lighting?
Yeah.
Lighting.
Yeah. So some people will have, let's say, a light that shines from below up at them, right? And what that'll do
Mm-hmm.
is that'll light the kind of underside, so you don't have this shadow that comes down from your nose or your eyebrows down. So that's why occasionally I need to look up because my lights are up like this height, shining down on me, which
Mm-hmm.
can create shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So some will have lights that are underneath, and it's also can be pretty annoying too. I have to say, being under
As long
lights
as
like
it's
this
not
is
hot like on TV. Oh,
no,
I
no,
always be sweating on
no,
the TV interview. Like.
yeah. But I've done a lot of stage presentations where I have to get up on
Mm-hmm.
stage and those big spotlights are hitting you in the face, and you can't see
Mm-hmm.
the audience that you're presenting to
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. I mean, that's the kind of thing. It can be a little bit like there's some eye blindness there that can happen,
Yeah, yeah.
and and it even happens in my studio here if I have the lights turned up too bright.
Mhm. And about media diversification strategies, Rob, what kind of strategy do you have that you can share with us, especially for the people who is the startup? And then I mentioned on my Facebook today about that I'm still a baby, that I'm going to launch my podcast through Blueberry, of course. So, but I also have some worries because you mentioned we thought on new media show that being too niche, some podcasters are gone because of it because they don't have enough what is it content or
Yeah.
material to share after quite sometimes, right? But then thought yesterday give us the tips that of course you should talk about your patient, that is the best way, but do you have any other tips for that to keep
Yeah, I
up the
think that there's
content
really
and then
kind of
also with the media. Mhm.
right. I think there's really kind of two big buckets of things that you should really think about
Mhm.
on this. And these are things that I wrestle with too. And I'm certainly not perfect at any of these things myself because
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
all so, I guess, unique to each one of us about what our passions are and what kind of content that we feel
Mhm.
compelled to
Oh,
contribute.
fantastic. Yeah.
Right.
And then
So that there's kind of two big buckets. There's ones that would be more conversational shows, kind of like what we're doing here.
mm,
And then there's content that is very popular on platforms like a YouTube that is very topic focused, right? And 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 you put that in your cover art or in your thumbnail, saying, this is the topic, right? Kind of like or it's what's happening on YouTube with the video side is that it's becoming more kind of
mhm.
driven by people's fears or emotions,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And those teases that are happening and those thumbnails and stuff are not really sharing what's in the content, but it's sharing
Mhm.
the emotions that they think as a creator will be the result of you watching the content. So it's almost like they're
Mhm.
talking to your fears or your passions or your concerns, right? And they're
Yes.
going to create content that addresses those issues. And I think it's a little bit of a different model with podcasting. Podcasting tends to be a little more structured, but yet it can also be very conversational too. Like this particular podcast
Agree.
is completely unstructured, there's no outline that we created for this. This is actually the kind of content that I love to do, is ones that are just
Mhm.
stream of consciousness, right? But some people will criticize this kind of content and say, well, it's not
Yes.
structured enough, or it doesn't have, key takeaways, right? Like you're supposed to give people, like, what are the top 10 takeaways that they can go
Mhm.
off and do tomorrow, right? So
Mhm.
that's a different kind of content. And I kind of oscillate between those two formats, right? I mean, there's more formats than that, but I would say those are the two bucket ones that people have to figure out.
Yeah.
Do they want to be like make how to videos, or do they
Yeah,
want to
I
make
want to do that too. So I haven't decided
conversational?
whether I have the guest speaker or not for the podcast, right?
Right. And should your
So,
speaker, like me being on, should I be
mm-mm.
putting up a presentation or something like that
Yeah.
that has, bullet points? What are the the diversification strategies for
Mm-mm.
success?
Mm-mm.
Bang, 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 right? And we
Yes.
talk about each one of those particular strategies or tactics, versus what we are kind of doing with this show is really talking about kind of more conceptual ideas on how to get to those strategies, right? And but maybe kind of
True.
straying into areas that maybe are different than your objective of this session with me too. So the
Mm-hmm.
listener has to be willing to go on a serendipitous journey with us, of discovery of sorts, and some people just don't have time for that. So that's the juggle. Some people want to come in and get the facts, Jack, and then others want to come in
Mm-hmm.
and experience something, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then with the diversification in media, there are so many platforms that we can be on it. And then in your opinion, should we be on all of the social media platform, even though we have our own website, or we choose the ones that we feel comfortable with? Which one is the best strategy for our business? This is for the business, not only for the exposures or performance.
Yeah, this is also a very hard question too, because it really, at the end of the day, I don't know that I can say, one platform is the best one to go
Mm-mm.
to, or if you
Mm.
should even use any of them. There's some people out there that just hate social media,
Yeah, just
and
like LinkedIn.
right,
People are very successful on LinkedIn, but people
right,
also hate it. Like,
right.
like the Vegemite and Marmite. I hate it, but the people love it.
Yeah. So if you're doing a show, a topic that is really kind of
Mm,
business oriented, I would say LinkedIn is probably your go-to property. If you're doing
mm,
something that's maybe has a slash personal slash professional, maybe Facebook is okay. And then Twitter is kind of like, open season, but it's, podcasting tends to
mm,
be a little bit more focused. It's a little more genre specific. And so
mm,
and this is what I'm trying to do with what I'm doing with StreamYard, is to create a model of sorts with my own show, of a show that is straddling both the video world and the audio podcasting world. And there are very successful shows on YouTube that are doing that. Though I would say
mm,
that they're probably more successful on the video side than they are on the audio side. But some are being able to do both, and that's what I would love to kind of be an advocate for, is working out that process, that workflow, the
mm,
content ideas, and coming at it from a digital first approach, and then coming up with an approach with your show that it will be successful in all your distribution mediums. Now, that may be too much to ask, in hindsight, and that may be what I learned from going through this, is that you do
Yes.
need to be more specific to create content for individual platforms, and you can't really create one piece of content that's going to be ideal for all the platforms.
Mm-hmm. And then I got the email from Patreon. I would like to start a Patreon, and then now you can sell individual video or something like that. What do you think about it? Now it makes Patreon like a YouTube channel, right? Like, that you can
Yeah,
monetize your content. Is not only from donation or from your subscriber, but you can sell your products there also. So,
yeah.
is there any other ways that we can monetize our contents besides like a new way like on Patreon right now or YouTube or the other platform?
Yeah, I tend to. I can only really speak for myself to some degree. I mean, there
Mm-hmm.
is so many different ways to do it now, that
Mm-hmm.
it really is really a matter of understanding the whole spectrum of what you can do, and then it's really up to you to
Yeah.
decide what
Besides
makes the most
podcast,
sense.
because podcast is different, right? It has advertisement too and
Right,
sponsors.
and it
Um,
appeals to a market or a specific
yes.
listener that maybe would be attracted to one form or another. Is kind of like what I'm doing with the content that I'm producing now. It's kind of really kind of a little bit branded podcasting is what it is. It's not so
True.
much advertising. It's not so much sponsorship. It's more podcasting built on partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
and the partnerships tend to be shows that are more what I would call a kind of branded podcasts, ones that are creating
Mm-hmm.
content in support of a brand. So I think that is a very valid approach too, but you do need to have a reputation in a particular genre or a particular market that has influence, right? That people trust what you say, and that's where I
Yeah.
get back
You
to the
talk
show
about
that I'm
trust
doing called
factor
Trust
also.
Factor, right?
Yeah.
Right.
To make what is it, the program, how the business professional and also content creators
Yeah,
to get the trust from the companies or the brands, and the also the vice versa, right? And
yeah.
but you are also talking about the controversial thing now. What do you think about it? With Ross Brand on his show.
They which of the controversies are you specifically referring to? Because there's multiple ones. You talking about the controversy on?
About the war, about everything, about even about
Oh,
the
okay.
social media. That one, oh my God! So it's a bit deeper for me. What I mean is, I will not take that risk on my fase of life, no matter how. Talking about politics, talking about such thing.
Yeah, it's very hard now to be a content creator
Mhm.
and not get pulled into some level of political discussion. Um, yeah, like
Mhm.
I do a show every Thursday at 1:30
Mhm.
with Ross Brand. It's called
Mhm.
the Stream Leaders Report panel show, and it's basically a show
Mhm.
that we talk about current affairs and current issues, and occasionally Todd and I will delve into some of that. But that's really the only other show that I actually do that. And then to some degree, Trust Factor has been in the middle of some
Mhm.
controversial topics. Like I've talked about aliens and stuff on the show before,
Yes.
things like that.
And back to StreamYard, what would you like to present after this? And what is the goal of the show on the StreamYard?
Yeah, it's to really build a program. I mean, I did for 4 years. I did a live show on Spreaker, which is now owned by iHeartRadio. But I did a show
Mm-hmm.
called the Spreaker Live Show, and it was basically
Mm-hmm.
a show that was done with a co-host, and we talked about all of the latest information about what's happening in the podcast medium, and then talked about how how the Spreaker tools work and well with the opportunities of Spreaker as well. So it was another branded show, but to talk about all these issues, kind of like what we're doing here, where we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
um, content creation issues that are maybe not as talked about, right? So those are the topics that I really like doing, are the topics that a lot of people don't really talk about. because they either don't have the depth of experience to be able to really dive into those topics, or they just don't feel comfortable talking about those topics for for whatever reason. Like
That's true.
I've been spending a lot of time talking about trust in podcasting, and that's not a a hot topic in podcasting to talk about how podcasters have a responsibility to build trust with their audience. It's not a common
Mm.
topic in the podcast medium. So that's kind of what I try and gravitate towards. Because so if I feel things happening in the world that will impact podcasters, I like to kind of get ahead of the curve on them and start talking about them before they're really kind of impactful, right? And kind of help people get a little bit of a lead in to maybe thinking about things in a certain way that can help them be better. Yeah.
And Rob, but isn't it too risky to talk about such controversial topic because you are a public figure and we don't want you to
Yeah, it
have
can.
image like, oh, I am into this special political side or party, or you know what I mean, like.
Yeah. I typically don't go too far down the rabbit hole. I kind of play
Mhm,
around on the surface of these topics
mhm.
and talk about um, how we're being challenged and what we um, understand and what we can trust. And that's why I talk about trust, is because trust is a
Yes,
an element of this that everyone can associate with,
I
and
know,
it's
but that
not
is a hard
partisan.
topic also for people today, right? To trust a
Yeah.
brand or to trust an influencer if they really bring the good image for us, or you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it's really core, I think, to all of us kind of being able to function and be human beings in our world today. Is trust is the number
Mhm.
one thing that's under threat. Um, can we trust what we're being told in the news? Can we trust what we're being told by our doctor? Can we trust what we're being told by, you know,
I agree. Because
everyone?
every
Right.
media has different view about something that, yeah, on in here of course, you know, we defend, I mean the media will be defend on one party, right, and on the other country
Right.
it looks different, so you don't even know which one is the right one. I mean, you know, who is the winner of the war, for example, or who is behind the war, for example. So how do you find the truth on the media that cover those kind of information, because you deliver those information on your show?
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing is trust your gut, trust your instincts,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and do your own research and talk to
Mm-hmm.
other people as much as you can. So sometimes it's not easy to do any of this stuff, and a lot of people don't have time to do a lot of deep research and to talk to other people that maybe have firsthand experience with things. But just be open in your mind to other ideas, and do those other ideas make sense to you? Do they match up? Are you
Mm-hmm.
connecting the dots that can help you have a better clarity of understanding of what may be true and what maybe isn't true? And but be skeptical of everything that you read. Don't just take everything that you read as fact and truth just
Mm-hmm.
because maybe somebody said it. And I think that's where the trust comes in, right? Who do you trust to that tells you things? Are they thinking about things? Are they applying critical thinking? And is there a motivation for them to deceive and to not tell the whole truth? I think is the ultimate kind of measurement too, because everybody has an agenda, and that's just a fact of life, and that's a fact of
True.
having a having an economy that's really
Mm-hmm.
capitalism, is that people have a vested interest in certain outcomes. So it's difficult.
Mm. And I would like to greet everyone. Thank you so much for the comments and question. Maybe I cannot see them on the studio, but also like the love and the likes, Larry Boyer, Joe Pardo. And if you have any question or comment, please do while Rob is here, or if you what's the reply later, you can do that also. But Rob, if you still have time, I know that it's been a long day for both of us, about the social media in the future, right? Because there are so many changing with the AI and everything. Yesterday, I asked about the authenticity, because like Canva itself, you can just create the content with ChatGPT and then just design it right away to Canva. Then the people wouldn't know if it is like it is from the ChatGPT or your own creation. Well, actually, it is your own creation now because you create the design and you edit the words right based on your
Yeah.
question and also comment on ChatGPT. What do you think about it? So, what will change after this about the content creation?
Yeah, I think the integration of images it has been a fun little development. I'm not sure that it really does any damage to anything. At
Mm-mm,
least its
mm-mm,
ability to take a prompt and generate an image from it. I th- I generally have felt very positive about that output that it gives because it
mm,
adds another level of creativity that most of us just don't have the ability to create artwork like that. I don't have like Photoshop skills that will allow me to create some of the stuff that these AI platforms can generate as far as visual images.
mm,
So I think
mm,
its ability to create art and to illustrate and to create kind of imaginary kind of visuals is really, I think, one of the most compelling things about that is maybe unless it's portraying something um, that we need to trust as being real when it's just making things based on a concept that isn't representing something that is either controversial or something that can be deceptive, right? And that's the
mhm.
risk here is that what is being created can create a deceptive experience, and that also applies to the textual content. And then increasingly, what we're going to see is these AI platforms being able to generate videos that are not unlike what we see with the visual imaging that are coming out through the Dolly, was it 4.0 project or the 3.0? I think it's 3.0.
Yes,
But but the next element is going to be
3.1.
doing the same thing with creating videos, and that they're going to need to put some limitations on being able to represent um, certain people or people in general. Maybe they're going to have to be just randomly generated people, not real people, right? I think where the danger
Mhm.
comes in is when this AI is used to replicate
Yeah,
real
not the
people,
real.
right?
Yeah, now with
So,
the video also, it happens to the artists already, right? Or the other
yeah,
public figures, and it seems like it is like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg who really speak on the what is it video, but actually they are only AI. Unless
yep,
if you see the lips movement, it is hard to differ actually, Rob, and that is the danger you mentioned, I think. But then we cannot stop it, right? And then you join it or you will what is it, you will not be able to
you'll
exist
fall
on the
behind,
social
right?
media. Yeah, not only for, yeah, fall behind, but also disappear from social media because of it if we are not careful to deliver ourselves, right? And then so will it change our personal branding strategies on social media with that kind of improvement or development
Mhm.
on the technology, Rob?
Yeah, I think it
Should we
can
change
actually,
it or?
actually, if you should be able to use your own image or your own kind of media that you created with your real person, as long as you own it in the platform, right? You should be able to create new versions of things that maybe have different elements in it. So
Mhm.
I think that there'll probably be the ability that some of these AIs will be personal AIs to us, and they will be able to generate things
Yeah,
in support of each of us and put them out there, but not allow other people to take our likeness and take our content and publish those as though it was ours. I think
Mm.
that's a dividing line that I think, and this is an issue for podcasters too. It'd be great for me to be able to create a podcast episode and be able to import it into an AI tool that can generate
Mm.
versions of it in, 10 different
Yeah, for me
languages
it
or
will
something
help
like that.
because I don't like my own voice, and then and also my English pronunciation, right? It might help, but then
Yeah.
yeah, it will hurt the work of our voice actors also, and
Yeah, right.
I believe
Right.
that, of course, there are so many works that will be replaced by AI, right? But then should we
Well, I want to be a voice
be
actor. I
afraid
want to be
about
a
it?
voice actor. So I'm going to put
Mm.
my voice and speaking cadence into platforms, and
You have
they
a
can
nice voice,
license
the
from
radio
me.
profile, yes.
Right, right. So they can license the use of my voice from me, and then they can use
Mm-hmm.
it, right? But I think it has to be with approval
Mm-hmm.
of the real human, because that AI voice could say things that I didn't say. So it needs
Can
to
we
have like an
control it because we don't know? There are so many products out there that use our voice if you are famous, right? And then, but that is a good
yep,
idea. Then, for the voiceover, then I need you to be my voiceover on my podcast, so I will be more confident than my own listening to my own
yeah.
voice for the opening. Yippee! Thank you. It
No,
will be great to
I would
have
like
your
it too,
voice.
because yeah, I
Uh,
don't speak perfectly. I mean, it's one of those things too. I make mistakes in my audio,
mm,
and I know that there's others that are like perfect. They're
mm.
lucky they're able to speak without ums and
Yeah,
ahs.
I love Jodie
Um,
Kranger
right?
for the commercials. She's
Oh
an
yeah,
angel on the, and she
Jody's
can
great.
hypnotize people. She can hypnotize people to buy your products or to join your program. I love her so much.
Yep, yeah, she's awesome. I agree with you. Yeah,
Oh, time runs very fast. But one more question. Is that okay? I know that you need to catch your schedule again for
it's okay.
your rest.
Well, you
But
do
I know
too.
you are a
Yep.
night owl. Rob, about social media, right? Today, there are so many, not only controversial profiles out there, but it seems that the social media put the fake accounts, fake profile easily. Well, we are the true content creators often get the flag on social media. So how can we overcome it? There are so many fake profiles that add us, and it is okay. While we report, it doesn't, what is it, against the rules of Facebook, for example. But while we are the true content creator, we get warning, like, about this, about that, and some people are on Facebook jail, and some people are on YouTube, what is it, cancellation even. So how can we overcome that kind of risk on social media? Of course, we cannot make our own social media like Facebook, right? That's why it relates with the previous question, like, should we be on all of the social media, so we know what to do after that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on all the major ones to some
Mm.
degree. I
The
mean,
major ones, okay.
right. I haven't played around too much with like a Substack or whatever. I do have an
Yeah.
account over there, and I do play around over there too. And there's other, you know, other other platforms that are out there
Mm.
too that I just haven't
You are on
dug into.
Rumble.
Right. I'm on Rumble too, as far as, I have an account over there. I don't publish much over there, but there is a way that you can synchronize your YouTube
Mm,
content with Rumble automatically,
mm,
and it'll do it on its own. So I don't
mm,
have to upload directly to that platform. But if you start
mm.
looking at all these platforms, you really can't be in all of them, and you can't really participate in all of them at the same level, because there's just not enough time in the day. I mean,
That's true.
I think
Even
back
though with
when,
the software or apps that can schedule your posting,
yeah,
right?
I mean, I think you can do that, and a lot of people do. I think the classic example of this was when Facebook rolled out their Threads
Yes,
platform, and how everybody that was on Instagram all got prompted to go over to Threads, and they're still kind of
correct.
cross promoting each other. But
Yes.
but I think there's a lot of people
with the
that just
same
felt
content.
like Threads was just, they're just like over the edge on too much social
Mm-mm.
media. I mean, if you had profiles in all the platforms and you were posting multiple posts a day to all the platforms and it was unique content, that would be your
Mm-hmm.
full-time job. I mean, that's all that you would accomplish in your life would be being on social media. And I think that's what all these social media companies want you to do. But it's not how you should live your life, I think is the thing. So I do think you need to prioritize, and I do prioritize just a handful of them myself. And it's generally the ones that I've been on for many, many years. Like I started on Twitter X back in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
and I started on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube probably back in that same time frame, back in 2006 or so. And
Mm-hmm.
Facebook I've been on since they launched. So these platforms I tend to keep using are the ones that I've been using for a long time, and I've carved out that time out of my life
Mm-mm.
to make make it possible for do that, to participate in those platforms. But I do think that there's a lot of validity to being over on Substack and some of those as well. So I've been playing around a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more with Substack lately, but I haven't gotten into like Truth Social or any of those other kind of social platforms that are out there as well. So I just haven't gone there.
I haven't been there, so what is special about Substack and how is it different compared with Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, for example, or even TikTok?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of similar to Discord to some degree, and a little bit like, which is another one of these
Oh,
platforms
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and then there's Slack, and then
Mm,
there's all these, I could, like I said, I could spend my whole day participating in these platforms, and it just
mhm,
doesn't make sense to always do that. I mean, who knows? Maybe if I have an AI, assistant at some point that can maintain
mm-mm,
my presence on all these platforms, it can be automated. I
mhm.
can just tell it what to
I
do, and
can
it'll
be
just
your
go do
assistant. Put me
it.
in. Come me in.
Right? Plug you right
Then I will
in.
be on social media all the time.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
they call it a
that will be a
virtual
good
assistant,
idea.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, virtual assistant. I can do that, but then I will be criticized also. Rob, the sound is annoying.
Yeah, but I think AI is going to enable that. I think it,
Mm-mm.
you know, I would like to have my own personal AI that can maybe answer my emails,
You
or
need to.
maybe
You
sift
need
through
to.
my emails to find out what's
It
important
will be
based on my
great.
priorities. Right.
Yeah, it will be great to have such kind of secretary or virtual assistant, right? But then, Rob, again with the social media, with the personal branding, yeah, maybe we need to close this show after this, even though there are so many questions. But I know
Yeah.
that you have a long day with the social media after this, after the AI, right? And then two people still believe about the course you provide, for example, you or the course you sell. They sell about how to create content, to create book with ChatGPT, but you created with ChatGPT, right?
Right.
So, so can we trust those kind of courses or something like that? And
Yeah, I
maybe
don't.
we can create
Yeah.
ones also because it seems that they make money very very fast. How to maximize or how to create content with ChatGPT, and even now that is a very expensive course.
Yeah. I don't really 100% know how to answer that, because you're going to have
Mhm.
to evaluate it and decide for yourself. I'm not going to tell somebody that they shouldn't try and pursue learning, right?
Mhm.
And try and take information that may help them streamline what they're trying to accomplish with their online
Mhm.
business or what they're doing in their careers. So I
Mhm.
think that there's always something to learn from everyone. So there's value there. The question that you have to ask yourself is the cost worth the value you get for that information?
The
Because
value.
there is a lot of
Yeah.
free information out there. There's a lot of information that you can garner that
Mm.
that may be just as effective, and you don't have to pay a couple $1,000s to get access to it.
Yeah,
Um,
because
but
we don't know the
oftentimes,
quality or the outcomes after buying or after learning from it, right? We don't know. We don't know the
right?
quality until we use it, right? But
Yeah, and
if we
that's
use the free content all the time or the free thing all the time, we don't have enough commitment to do it, to do the work,
that's
to
true.
be what it is instructed or taught on the program.
And it does. There is something to be said for paying for something tends to make you want to commit to it more, right? And where when something is free, it's optional. So, I think that there's a little bit of that in the content creation business now too. Is that a lot of, and we've seen this play out, with platforms that are free, right? There's a lot of people that come in and kick the tires and start shows, but they don't keep them going and they don't build anything with them because they didn't have to commit to paying something for it. But you just have to evaluate and make sure that what you're paying for is worth what you're paying for, and that's
Yeah.
sometimes a difficult thing.
And about the future plans and project, what are your next steps?
I'm going to keep working with creation platforms, recording kind of next generation technologies,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how that intersects with AI is part of that. And
Mm-hmm.
keep creating content and get better as a content creator myself. Be a better presenter, um, whether it be virtually or in person, or and get keep expanding that learning on my part and helping startup companies and new companies to find their markets and use my
Yeah, as
kind
a
of
consultant.
experience, right, to help them get there, if they're willing to support me too. So it kind of
Mhm.
goes, it's an exchange. It's a win-win relationship is what I like to create.
That's true. But you are also the co-founder for some companies already, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, it's true. So you have
and
to
don't
have a
forget our book forward and everything. Oh my God, there are so many projects that we have to get done after
yeah.
this
I
week.
mean, you
I'm
do
very
have to
happy with your support. I'm
form
very
a
grateful with
business,
it.
right? And you
Mm-hmm.
do have to form a business and you have to operate it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's I've been doing that off and on for years, at various stages of my work career, different kind of businesses, and some of them
Mm-hmm.
work out, some of them I sell, some of them are like I ran a restaurant for 5 years, so just things like
Yeah.
that, and I sold that
And
business. So right,
yeah, and you told me that Bill Gates' father was your loyal customer at your restaurant at that time.
yeah,
Then why
right,
you close it? I don't understand that.
yeah. I
If
sold.
it is that until today, maybe oh my God, it will be like Master Chef kitchen in the whole world, Rob, with that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
sold him
reputation.
spiral sliced honey glazed hams of all things. So
Mm-mm,
he would come in. Bill Gates' father would come in
mm-mm.
and get hams for his family dinners at his house that was right down the
Wow.
street from my restaurant. So
Mm-hmm.
so we used to stand around and talk too.
But you work, did you work for Microsoft already
Yeah.
at the time when you own the
No,
restaurant? So
no, it
it's
was
like a side
before.
business, or it was before? Was
Yeah.
it because of it that you work for Microsoft? Oh, come on.
No, I
Please
don't think
share
so.
the tips.
No, no, it really was because of my work in
Mm,
podcasting and radio that got me
mm,
that role with Microsoft.
mm.
Yeah.
And then even yesterday, yesterday or last night, yeah, I found that what is it? Steve Jobs called Todd on his podcast, and
Yep.
I knew it from one interview. I should interrogate him more next time because there are so many things I don't know about Todd and you. That's why I'm very happy that both of you become our what is it? Cover boy on Live Podcast Insider, and now you are the columnist with your special segment, Stream Genius, I call it. So, wow, so many things that you really need to share with us that we don't know about. Maybe on
Yeah, and
one
even
platform or one social media, but not the whole story. There are so many uh, stories on your journey in podcasting for the 19
yeah,
years we thought also, right? Oh my God,
yeah,
that is
and
interesting. I'm
Steve
still a
Jobs
baby. So,
sent um, Todd a MacBook laptop, so for
wow.
free. Yeah.
With the signature,
Hmm.
I hope that he still keep it.
I doubt it that he still uses it. It was a long time ago. But
Yeah, but not about the laptop, but it is like, the museum stuff that it will has more value after years because it is from Steve Jobs.
right, right. Could be put in a museum, right?
Of course, not your glaze ham. We cannot put it on your signature menu. Maybe the menu, but not the glaze ham itself, right? For the museum of podcast or the museum of the journey of Rob Greenlee, how into podcasting from the very very different background, from the basketball player, and then the famous restaurant owner, and then into Microsoft, and then into, whoa, I don't know how to keep up with it. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Rob, for sharing
yeah,
everything with us today. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on our show again. Always support our live podcast summit and also live podcast media program. And I'm looking forward to see you soon again, talk to you soon again. And how can we contact you the easiest way on social media or email or?
yeah. You can. I'm on X, Twitter at Rob Greenlee. Actually, it's really most of my accounts are my name. So at Rob Greenlee on YouTube. I'm also, I've got a bunch of shows that are up on YouTube. Some of the shows I have on YouTube been around for 16 years, and so there it's really kind of an archive of the early part of the podcast era is what it is, because I
Mhm.
put up a bunch of demo videos of some of the early podcasting listening platforms that I worked on in the early days, like Zune and Mobilecast, which is a lot of people have probably never heard of that one, but that was one that
Mhm.
integrated or actually was shifted from a music platform to a podcasting platform
Mhm.
back in 2005. So I was working
Wow.
on that back then. So, and you can
Mhm.
also send me an email, rob.greenlee@gmail.com. Happy to hear from you. And like I said, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn as well under my name, Rob Greenlee. So I'm pretty easy to find. Just do a search in Google and you can find all sorts of interviews. I've done hundreds of interviews like this on other people's
Thank
podcasts
you so much.
over many years, and it's really kind of quite a quite a journey that you could follow. And if you go to my website, go to robgreenlee.com. I've got a Web Talk Radio archive section of that website that has a bunch of links to my very earliest radio shows that I
Yeah.
did.
Do you
Actually,
record
you can.
everything? How many episodes or the people we interview, which media, which link, something like that?
I only put up the full episodes. Like I put up one of the handful of the very first radio show
Mhm.
episodes that I ever did. This was back in 1999. I think it was February of 1999
Mhm.
is when I posted my
Wow.
first MP3 to my Web Talk Radio show website. So, and then I've got a bunch of episodes in there too. If you want to go back and listen to the early days, it's a little painful when I was in the radio station back in those days, but they were fairly. It was a fairly entertaining show, I have to say. I think the crew that I had that did that show had a lot of fun doing
Mhm.
it, and it wasn't all straight laced. There was a lot of jokes and a lot of things that were going on that show. It was a little bit like a morning talk show, that kind of a
So
vibe
why
to it.
not now? You sound more serious in every show that I watch you. So why not many jokes anymore? Maybe
Yeah, I
because
mean
of the
it's
life.
I I mean, it's a very good question. I've oftentimes thought about
Mhm.
that. I've often think, well,
Or because
maybe I
you are
should
a
create.
leader of some big brand, so you have to perform differently, more serious for your charisma, for your performance. But
Yeah, and it wasn't really entirely about me. I was kind of like the main host of that show that I did, but
mm, mm.
it was really the personalities of my co-hosts. So I had three
Oh,
co-hosts,
okay.
and
Mm,
each one of them played like a particular role in the program. Like
mm,
one of the co-hosts that had he had a show name. It was called Crash Test Mark. So he would always come in with stories about software or things that he was playing with online that would crash, right, or not
mm.
work, or that there was some problem with it or something. So
The critics,
yeah, so he was
the
like,
critics.
yeah, yeah. So he was going out and like testing some of these new platforms and new software,
Mm,
and he was finding all the bugs with them and how things didn't work and things like that. So he was making fun of these things. So, and then my other co-host was kind of like, like to talk about other aspects of what was happening in the online world, because the whole topic of the show was the growth and development of the internet and the web back in the early days, and all of the weird things that were being created. Um, Not unlike what we see with AI today, there's a
mhm.
lot of mapping to a lot of creativity, a lot of new ideas, a
Yeah.
lot of things that people tried that just don't really work or don't really make sense. Like one example is the early technology that we talked about on the show was the
Mhm.
ability to transmit smells over the internet.
Yeah, that will be great for the long distance
So
relationship, not only the smell, but also to feel maybe
right,
when we kiss
so
our virtual boyfriend or long distance relationship, when we meet someone, it will be great, but it will be scary at the
right,
same
but for
time.
some reason it never made it out of the product development stage, right, where
Hmm.
you could
It's only
electronically
the idea, the
transfer
crazy idea.
to
Oh
someone
my.
else's like little odor emitter that's connected to their
But it will be
computer.
great for the cooking show or flower
Right,
arrangement or
right,
something
yeah,
like that. Or maybe if you live stream F1, then you can really feel the heat. You know what I mean? Like it will be great, I think.
right. But
But scary at
it was
the
all
same
spun
time. Yes.
up, and articles were written about this new technology that was going to
Mhm.
transmit smells over the internet. So,
Oh
it,
yes, please. So I can
and it never
smell my
happened.
man. Just
So,
kidding. No, I mean, at least my audience will know that I wear 1 kilogram of perfume today, a half kilogram of powder, and, one and a half
right,
kilogram of lipstick to be pretty. It will be great that they will appreciate that women are pretty, not only on the screen like this.
mm-hmm, yeah. But that's what's kind of unusual. And then I built the world's largest glass of orange juice too. So I talked
Mhm.
about that occasionally. But
Orange juice. What can you talk about orange juice?
oh, I built the world's
I
largest
don't.
glass of orange juice in the Guinness Book of World
Oh
Records.
yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that. Oh, for that one. For that one. Oh, I thought that you talk about how to create oranges or something like that.
No. I just actually had Tropicana squeeze a lot of them for me. So that's all.
Yes. Wow. Rob, again, thank you so much. I know
Yep.
that we have to go. It's
Yep.
been a long day for both of us, but again, thank you so much for all of your support always for Live Podcast Media and also our projects. And yes, there are so many projects awaiting for us. The Live Podcast Awards. Oh no. And also after that, our book with your forward. Oh my God, I feel very honored to have you there. And also Live Podcast Summit in Bali. And thank you so much for all of the support for me
Yep.
to
Well, thank you
reach
for
my
having me on.
dream. And yeah, my thank you so much for today. I know that you need to have some dinner and rest, and I have to continue to my real life. No, just kidding. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, I am going to put this on our podcast on Blueberry now. I'm very happy to have you
Oh,
here.
okay. Well, you should probably, because Blueberry supporting you, and that makes sense, right?
I will. Because yesterday I didn't know it looked very nice on the studio on my mobile phone, but when I put the reply, there was some echo, so I don't know. I haven't checked the audio quality yet, but on the video it was very very bad. So I don't know if I would put it on the podcast. But for today session, for sure I'm going to put it there. Rob, thank you so much. And I
All
love
right.
you so much for always supporting me. And have a great evening there.
All right.
And
Well,
I'll
thank
see
you.
you and
Good
talk to
luck
you
with the
again.
summit. Right.
Thank you. And
Thank
I'll
you.
see you. Bye bye. So there is our distinguished guest, Rob Greenlee, who has been supporting me and also Live Podcast Media in everything I do from the very beginning. Actually, the name of Live Podcast Media is also our discussion, our ideas to change from anitasonia.com and also to Live Podcast Media so that I focus more on live streaming and podcasting. And don't forget to subscribe to our live podcast insider because Rob Greenlee will share more than 10 pages of exclusive content there about podcasting and also live streaming on Stream Jenny's segment. And here is the link. The link is already on the screen. And thank you so much, Blueberry, again for supporting me as our ultimate sponsor for Live Summit and also Live Podcast Insider. And do not forget to join us again tomorrow with our another distinguished guest. And I'll see you tomorrow. Much love from Bali, Indonesia. And don't forget to share the love everywhere so that the people will feel the love that we share. Thank you so much, and I'll see you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Todd Cochran. I'm the founder of Blueberry Podcasting, and we are proud to be a sponsor of the Live Podcast Insider and Sonia's work. But more importantly, if you're considering to become a podcaster, we want you to come over to blueberry.com. And I'm going to give you a 3-month free trial for doing so, for trying our podcast services out. All you have to use the promo code FOUNDER on checkout, FOUNDER, and you'll get 3 months free with this. And I tell you, I hope you enjoyed the event. Again, we're a proud sponsor of this. Again, my name is Todd Cochran from Blueberry Podcasting. It's blueberry.com. Blueberry without the E's. Have a great conference. Hello, everyone. My name is Todd Cochran. I'm celebrating my 19th year in podcasting. I'm also the founder of Blueberry Podcasting. Blueberry was built by a team of content creators. We know podcasting. We use our tools every day, and we want to invite you to come over and become a podcaster. You get a free trial of our service, and you get in there and test and play around. Build your brand. Don't build some other third-party host brand where you have to build on their website. We give you a free WordPress site with every account. Come on over and try out Blueberry Podcasting and our hosting services. I know that you're going to enjoy it. We've got a top-notch support team that'll take care of you run into trouble. The only team that you can actually call and have a friend answer questions for you. Blueberry.com, BLUBRRY.com.